You know why it's so hard to apply the law of assumption to your business? One word: survival. You see, business for most people is an attempt to survive. Money is often for most people a way to survive, right? Yet what tends to happen is when survival is at stake, people would rather be defensive rather than be offensive. And the law of assumption is risky business if you are scared of survival. And that is what gets applied to business. Because the law of assumption in business would say that I am prospering in my business. I am financially successful in my business. I am getting lots of clients. I am getting lots of customers. Yet the problem is, what does survival make you do? Survival makes you cancel out the law of assumption. And even more importantly, your actions, your behaviors tend to come from a space of survival. So you cancel out the law of assumption. So the thing that I do with my entrepreneur clients that helps them is I help them to become aware of the survival bias that's occurring in their mind. What are their fears that are hijacking their focus? Because ultimately, the law of assumption means that your focus is on, I am prosperous in my business, okay? But what survival does, it hijacks your consciousness, right? And it will make you beg for money, essentially, right? It will make you beg for business. So the main step that I take with clients is, number one, and you can do this, start becoming aware of what is that fear that hijacks your state of mind. What is the fear of survival in your business that hijacks? I won't have enough money. This is not going to work for me. How am I going to get clients? Where will they come from? Where will customers come from? It will make you play defensively. So write down that identity that is rooted in the fear of survival. And that identity is connected to how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. So write that down, become aware of it. And the second step that I take, many teachers of consciousness and law of assumption, etc., do not do what I'm going to share with you now, but I go into a lot of detail because I've lived this stuff for 15 years and I've coached it to entrepreneurs for a number of years now. So what I do is neutralization. Often, for me personally, it hasn't been enough to just shift my focus to assuming that my business will do well. It's not been possible. For me, I've had to unhook from being hijacked into the state of survival, right? So in quantum physics, they call it the observer effect, right? So in my work, I teach the unobserver effect. And that means often we have to unobserve that which we keep observing. And in this case, we keep observing survival, right? And as we know, awareness creates reality. What we're aware of is what is the data, the information that is letting us know what reality is. So we need to shift our awareness. So in neutralization, step 2, we do a process called emotional acceptance, but there's many ways you can do it. You can also do processes on the way you think. You can process the thinking so you can let it go. But the first step is awareness, and step 2 is become present in the body. This is one of the techniques that I do with clients. Become aware of the charge that you carry in the body, because for most people, for most entrepreneurs, survival is a big deal, right? It sits in our bodies. As human beings, survival tends to dictate the way that we behave. Now, often that survival is taking control of us. So that's why often in our businesses we cannot create the breakthrough, because unconsciously we're just focused on survival. So neutralization you can do by processing the feeling in the body, by becoming present to the fear. Because the truth of it is this, there is There is most of the survival fears that you have, they're not out there. They're in here. They're inside of here. Most of that which we fear is not happening out there. It's happening in here, right? So we can unhook our psychological survival. That's what it is. Most of it is not physical survival. It's psychological survival. Our mind is trying to survive, right? And then there's a second point here. Often we are addicted to psychological survival because that survival state business affirms who we are. If we've always had a business that is just poking its head above the water, that is just surviving, shall we say, then to do anything more than survival, i.e. thrive in your business, right, would be a threat. So the law of assumption in this case becomes a bit of a threat. So we have to learn to let go of our addiction to our survival state of being. They are our lower centers, right? They are our animalistic centers. And we have to unhook from that. We have to unobserve that reality, right? When we let go of the emotional charge or the mental charge, we are no longer addicted. We can let it go. And that's when our focus can come back to creating a new possibility. And that is when we can apply the law of assumption. We can start to assume success for ourselves. So, this has taken me time to apply in my business because, truth be told, I was rather rooted in survival. I had a lot of fears around money. And so money fears tend to drown us. They tend to cancel out the law of assumption. So what I'd like you to do is to become aware of what are you assuming is going to happen that is bad. Become aware of that. Write it down, right? Become aware of the opposite of the law of assumption. Or shall we say, become aware of what are you assuming that's going to happen that is bad. Because obviously you're here because you want to apply the law of assumption in the most positive way to your business. So become aware of the opposite, right? Don't deny the awareness, because if you deny the awareness, then you're pushing away the data, the information. Because once you become aware, then you can shift it. But if it's unconscious, then it controls what you create in your life. And as Carl Jung said, if we do not make the unconscious conscious, then we'll call it fate. So I hope this has supported you. I'll be creating lots more content on how we can apply metaphysical teachings and how we can apply, things like the law of assumption, how consciousness creates reality, how we can apply all of these teachings to our businesses so that we can live prosperous, purposeful lives through our business and create the businesses that we want. So if this has interested you, and you're thinking, I would love to have a breakthrough in my business. I'd love to be able to apply these laws of consciousness to my business so I can create a new reality with my mind as far as my business is concerned. Get in touch. There will be a link in the description where each month I open up a small number of complimentary sessions with prospective entrepreneur clients who want to create a breakthrough. And on that session, I will give you a roadmap. We'll look at what's going on for you, give you a roadmap and how to apply these principles to your business so you can create a breakthrough. It's Singhasan here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Over and out.